Hey everybody, this is Steven with Yang Gang Fitness, and today I'm joined by Mudit. He was a regional organizer for some Yang uh, support groups. So welcome, Mudit. How are you?
Doing great. How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm super stoked to hear your story and where you're going and how your comedy's doing and everything.
Yeah, definitely. Um,
So yeah, do you want to just start off with telling us a little bit about your fitness journey and how it led to Yang Gang Fitness and just
yeah, absolutely.
take us
Yeah,
along for the ride.
yeah. So fitness has been pretty integral to every aspect of my life. I would say the most significant, uh, like early on, was that in high school I played soccer and I ran track. Um, and I won states for both, which is really awesome. And so after school sports, high school sports, that was pretty much my identity in high school. Um, and yeah, before then, like I did not really work out at all other than gym class. So I'm very, I guess, uh, thankful or proud of myself for pursuing sports at a competitive level in high school.
Hmm.
And that carried over to college for the most part. I participated in club level boxing in college. I went to the University of Maryland, and I think in college, and then I went to pharmacy school after college. Um, Fitness did fall off a little bit because my relationship with fitness was uh, pretty much only in the context of like competing in sports, like
Mm,
at a higher tier that wasn't just kind of recreational.
yeah.
So throughout my late teens and early 20s, I'm 28 now. I had trouble really conceptualizing fitness as a daily necessity to just have a kind of baseline level of health that's sort of separate from the context of doing it or different from the context of doing it competitively. And so essentially, I think in the last 2 or 3 years, uh, particularly since 2016, that was when I turned 24. Uh, I think I was getting stressed out in pharmacy school, and um, I think also my body was kind of like moving past that kind of late teen, early 20, like high metabolism kind of phase.
Hmm.
And I needed to really understand that I need to integrate some baseline level of fitness into my routine. Um, that even if I'm not necessarily, in a commitment that like a competitive sports team that warranted working out. So finding balance has been a recent kind of realization in my fitness journey, and I've learned to appreciate that. Um, and I've also realized that having some level of fitness incorporated into my daily and or weekly kind of routine at some level um, helps my mental well-being as well. So
Yeah.
so uh, so that's sort of an overview of my fitness journey. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can definitely relate to that a lot. I had a I played hockey and tried out for soccer and all this other stuff in high school and then similar. Just you kind of fall away from it and then you don't realize how much it fell away.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so how has Yang Gang Fitness brought you back then? Or or were you already on the track back and we just gave you a little bit of a push?
Yeah, I think it's a great question because we're in we're in the middle of a pandemic, and Yang Gang Fitness brought a level of connection and community to my like fitness that was somewhat already taking place throughout the pandemic. During the lockdown, I mean, I'm with my folks in a suburb in Clarksburg, Maryland, and
Nice.
so I say that because if I was living in like a big city, then um, it would be like, so it's very spacious where I am. So taking like
Yeah.
walks outdoors and without having to like really worry about social distancing, because I guess you know the suburb I'm in right now with my folks is literally that spacious. Whereas
Oh
I
wow.
think if I was residing in a city, I'd have to be very careful and mindful, as one should be in terms of like
Yeah.
social distancing. And so I was taking like, I guess before Yang Gang Fitness really took off, or at least before I picked up on it and recognized it and saw the hashtag. I think it was like a couple months ago or something like that. I was just taking like several hour walks outside just to kind of stay sane and
Mm,
take some like uh, uh, take a break from screen time.
yeah.
Um, Especially because I've been doing stand up comedy the last year until this pandemic hit,
Oh
and
wow.
uh, and it was very abrupt. Like the lockdown, everything shutting down, and
Yeah.
that whole thing was very abrupt. So me just taking walks outside. Oh yeah, and then like the gym that I go to, shut down. I go to a gym.
Oh yeah.
And so Yang Gang Fitness, I think, really remedied the lack of community that sort of occurred because of this pandemic, because of this lockdown.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm very thankful. I'm very appreciative, and I think also Yang Gang in general has like our branding obviously is very good. We can
Yeah.
get anything trending on Twitter, on social media, and so I think Yang Gang welcomes this like aesthetic, artistic touch to whatever we pursue. And I think fitness, Yang Gang Fitness really brought everything together, especially in this dire time with the pandemic. And yeah,
Yeah. I I definitely latch on to a lot of that for sure. I feel like the pandemic really did separate people a lot, and it kind of helps us like just focus on something else for a while.
yeah,
So that's cool. So
absolutely.
you still, I know you're still doing some of your comedy stuff. Is that a mental thing for you too, or is that your career path, or what happened to pharmacy and all that? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Uh, I would like it to be my career path in some capacity, and it's only in the past 3 months or so, like maybe just a month before I discovered Yang Gang Fitness, that online comedy via like Zoom and live streaming took off.
Nice.
Largely out of circumstance, because a stand up comics, like we don't really have a choice.
Right.
Um, I For the time being, I brought a level of prop comedy and sketch comedy to my like live stream online performances, and I was able to demonstrate some of that with like Yang Gang Fitness, because I use like a soccer ball in both my act. I played soccer in high
Yeah.
school, and it's like it's like I guess the silver lining from all this madness is that I've learned to be creative and combine my fitness affinity and my passion for comedy. And in terms of career, like I think you know with Yang Gang and Andrew Yang really uh, advocating for universal basic income.
Yeah.
I think that ties into my like kind of career change. So like with pharmacy school, I kind of entered the program essentially because like I didn't feel like I was cut out for medical school. Pharmacy school
Mm.
seemed more manageable. I didn't really put that much more thought into it. I just kind
Uh,
of pretended like I did for like the interviews and things. And I think my story is very emblematic of what Andrew Yang described in terms of like, it's like you got kids going to college and then they graduate and they do one of five things in one of five different places. And I think like my pursuit of pharmacy like was had like a very similar like flavor to that. It just kind of
mm-hmm.
followed a path that was viable and feasible. And then so like as graduation approached with pharmacy school, I knew I did not want to do a traditional retail pharmacy path. It's just it's very monotonous. It's
Mm-hmm.
very stressful in the sense that you're dealing with customers like left and right and the drive through, and then you've got to use your training to make sure that there are no like drug interactions and allergies, and you're also verifying the actual medications and counseling. Like you're running around
Yeah.
behind the counter. Um, and so I don't know, like some folks in my position would have chosen to leave the program, but my family and my mentors wanted me to stay to see if I could find something like non-traditional, and I did. So I found a research job, a medical writing
Nice.
role for a clinical trials company that I worked for a year. I worked for a small company for a year until it got acquired and moved to like a suburb in Florida in a very short timeline.
Hmm.
And so this was summer of 2019, where I quit my first job, and I never really took a break, like a long term break. I went from high school to college, college to pharmacy school, no breaks, and I took like this time off where I discovered my passion for comedy, where I went to my first open mic. I paid more and more attention to local politics, and that
Hmm.
like that was my discovery of Andrew Yang, the summer of 2019.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and the onset of my comedy journey uh, coincided with the onset of my Yang Gang journey. So I was
Huh.
involved with the Maryland Yang Gang at large, the Montgomery County Yang Gang, the Baltimore City Yang Gang. I went to pharmacy school in Baltimore, and so yeah, those two things went hand in hand, and it's supposed to be like this thing where I took time off for maybe like only um, like a few months, like maybe like 6 months or so.
Yeah.
But then essentially like the pandemic hit, and we're just kind of waiting things out. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed listening to that. That's a cool story. So you're basically just practicing your comedy chops online then now until you get to be in front of people again.
Yeah, for the most part, that's kind of what it is. I think that and some other things I'm involved with is so I work part time for a mental health awareness nonprofit,
Oh,
and I
cool.
also do freelance writing for mental health advocacy, sort of talking about my own journey and story as it pertains to mental health. And so so I mean those are things I'm doing like on top of just I guess like refining my comedic art, and sort of like doing all of that in place of of a day job. And because for me, I think like, given the circumstances and the uncertainty of this pandemic, I kind of want to, rather than diving into a day job that I don't know that I'd be able to handle,
Yeah.
and know that I'd be like passionate about, I'll kind of wait this pandemic out for as long as I'm able to and as long as I can. I mean, my folks are very supportive of me and my like my goals and the whole career change. And so yeah, that's sort of
That's
where I'm
awesome.
at. Yeah,
Very cool. So
yeah.
what are you doing with your what's like your workout regimen now to get back into the game? Lots more soccer juggling, or are you getting out and
Yeah.
practicing your shots on goal?
Well, yeah. So I it's been pretty simplified lately. Because the gym only recently opened back up.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and that I mentioned that just because of like so I'm not really like tracking gains on certain machines and things. And I wasn't always I had phases where I would really clinically like monitor progress on like certain numbers of reps on certain machines and things. But
Yeah.
um, I think I don't know. I think I'm more like my personality is more aligned with just kind of getting like a certain level of exercise done in a given day.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I did recently get a Fitbit, like like the cheapest one available, uh, just just as like something for me to anchor onto.
Yeah.
Um, and so lately, it's been this sort of like very simple approach where I go outside and either take a long walk and or do a long run or some
Hmm.
like variation of both. And I kind of feel it out. I don't really hold myself to um, like a hardcore goal. It's more of like duration and me because I guess what I'm trying to say is like I trust myself to get a minimum level of
Like,
healthy exercise in,
right. Yeah.
uh, and and so I'm therefore I'm not like holding myself to a like a competitive like standard of like uh, get this many reps in or
Right.
yeah. Um, and so there's that, and then yeah, I juggle the soccer ball. I've like a soccer ball that I juggle indoors. Maybe when I'm like brainstorming, like comedy writing, like
Oh, that's
I
cool.
like mindlessly like juggle and like lose myself in the juggling and yeah, and I have another ball that I take outside and like dribble here and there. So lately, because as a result of this pandemic, like my fitness has largely been sort of this meditative thing where I kind of unwind and lose myself either in the walking, the jogging, or like the soccer ball juggling. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
I need
yeah,
to find that.
yeah.
My fitness is still getting lost in the, oh, I gotta get this much done.
Gotcha.
That's the goal.
Yeah,
Like you were saying, like I have to get this much weight on the bar, and
right,
I think that's a little healthier to just be like, I'm gonna go do it, and it's gonna just kind of be a me time. I'm gonna enjoy it,
right.
sort of thing. I may have to implement that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's tricky because I sort of think to myself like um so there's a question of like is fitness uh, a hobby or is it a necessity? And so, in my opinion, it's a necessity at a certain up to a certain point. It's like it depends on maybe what your healthcare provider might recommend to you, but it's some variation of like I don't know. 20 to 30 minutes at least 3 times a week. More would be ideal, but like let's get the patient at some like baseline level of
Yeah.
activity, physical activity. And then so in my opinion, it's like so fitness is necessary at a certain level, and then beyond that, it could be considered a hobby.
Hmm.
And so I phrase it, I conceptualize it that way because I personally had that struggle. Going from high school to college, and then in the latter years of college and the early years of pharmacy school, I kind of didn't realize or forgot that wait a minute, like like all the workouts I did in high school and early college, they don't just carry over into like right, like I've got to do something uh, on some level now on
Yeah.
like a regular basis, and so yeah, I mean it's definitely I think it's a an interesting kind of discussion and reflection to be had. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have that coach breathing down your neck, making sure you run those
yeah,
extra suicides.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that's pretty good. Um,
yeah.
yeah, so you said you did a lot of ground game in Maryland. What was that like?
Yeah, so let's see. Maryland in college. So I played club soccer for a year, and I kind of maxed out. I wanted to like take a crack at trying out for the NCAA Division One team, but
Hmm.
it doesn't work that way. Like for me in my level, like it would have been ideal for me to go to a school that had a Division 3 team. But my parents, I guess the schools that had Division 3 programs did not reconcile with like the schools that my parents would have liked me to have gone to.
Mm,
And so like it's like I chose a club level sport that was new for me, and that was club level boxing. And
oh, that's fun.
uh, and yeah. So I love the training. I love the I guess I love the art form or the yeah like the discipline of boxing. But the thing is I am not a fighter by any means. Like uh, it's a very violent sport, and I am not a violent person. And in
Yeah.
fact, like when playing soccer, I think my biggest weakness in soccer was the physical like aspect of it, like the aggression.
Yeah.
getting like playing defense and shoulder to shoulder, just really like
Yeah.
protecting the ball and
Not
um,
afraid to kick someone in the shin.
exactly, yeah, yeah. And I think I also think my initial pursuit of boxing was a way to like offset and compensate my weakness in soccer. Um, and that describes my first 2 years of college. My latter 2 years of college, I kind of unfortunate from a fitness perspective, like unfortunately just like went in this direction where I where I just like ate whatever junk food. I did whatever, and like extracurricularly, I was like in the like performing arts. Like I was doing like cultural theater shows and like I was like emceeing like
Hmm.
talent shows and programs,
Oh, wow.
which is very fulfilling. But like I just like started defaulting and slacking to my like metabolism. Like it's just like I didn't really work out much. And then like as I entered pharmacy school, that's those like sort of bad habits or those caught up to me, and then I had those revelations of knowing that to be a healthy kind of adult, you need to have like a steady or consistent rhythm,
Yeah.
routine of fitness and sleep and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Sleep's a big one for sure.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Tuesday I did not sleep very well with the baby, and just like my whole day was like rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I uh I don't have an excuse. I'm very well actually sleep, yeah, sleep is a big challenge for me. So
Hmm.
I think I have like fitness nailed, like I'm very confident or satisfied with like achieving my fitness quota and sort of like this like adulting like fitness health like like general wellness and health. My
Right.
sleep is way out of whack for a variety of reasons. Like I think as a comedian there's like a lot of us comedians are like night owls. Very few of us are morning people.
Hmm.
It wouldn't make sense for us to be morning people because we're out and about like doing open mics late at night, like I don't
Right.
know. And I struggle with sleep a lot because of I think a lot of it's like motivation. Like um, I don't want to fall asleep. Like if I have a good day, like I'm
Yeah.
thankful that we're living in tough times, but I've with Yang Yang Fitness and online like live stream comedy,
Yeah.
I'm very thankful to be having like good days. And when I have a good day, I don't want that good day to end. So I don't have the motivation to like turn it off
Right.
and like
Yeah.
fall asleep. Yeah.
Right.
Uh, but then that starts to snowball out of control where I'm up like at this like super odd hour and
Yeah.
so I've got to like kind of think about or I think I really need to take a deep dive or really nudge myself to maybe meditate.
Yeah.
I think this has implications on my fitness routine as well because I need to stretch more.
Hmm.
I stretch a little bit, but I don't think I spend enough time stretching, and I think I can maybe implement a level of like a meditative aspect to it and kind of
Yeah.
conceptualize maybe like a nightly stretching as a means of winding down, perhaps,
Yeah.
uh, and or meditation or yoga type of thing to kind of wind down.
Yeah. That
And
sounds like a pretty good idea for sure.
right,
Because then you
yeah,
can focus your mind on just like get everything out of the way you were thinking about through the day and then just kind of
yeah,
chill maybe. That sounds pretty cool.
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I think ironically, or I don't know if this is ironic, but perhaps uniquely, I have an easier time falling asleep when I've had a bad day because the sleep for me subconsciously is a way to escape that bad day. So
Hmm.
like I fall. So I think for some people, when they've had a bad day, they have like a lingering thought, and that keeps them up at night. But for me,
Yeah.
it's kind of the reverse where I have an easier time falling asleep because that's the escape.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun fact, but about me, I can only speak for
Right.
myself. Um, so
Yeah. I got
yeah,
I gotta think about that for myself.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm more like you,
Mm,
but I'm not sure. I
right.
I fall asleep really good usually, but if I have any trouble, I my personal way of helping me is to turn on an audiobook.
Yeah.
And something
Yeah.
about people talking, just like I'm out.
Yeah. I hear you on that because uh I I think that there are stressful things that keep me up at night, and that usually pertains to the next day or like an upcoming deadline.
Mm,
So it's never something that it's usually not something that happened in the past that keeps me up at night. It's more so the anticipation of something in the future. And if it's not that, then it's the fact that I had a good day and I don't want to like have that day end, and that you know that keeps me up at night. But I totally hear you with the audiobooks and the podcasts, and I think that
yeah,
has a lot of relevance to Yang Gang because we really I think as a whole have an affinity for the long form discussion format of things. So yeah,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, just like something about listening to people talk about different things just kind of
yeah,
makes you calmer, I guess.
absolutely, yeah,
Mm,
yeah, and yeah, I think we like to talk about things in a very uh, unrushed and in a very like mindful way, and the things that I think we like as Yang Gang like to talk about are things that I think uh, like mainstream society maybe tends to push aside or maybe not adequately prioritize.
yeah, or
So yeah,
hasn't quite come to light yet in people's
yeah,
minds, you know.
exactly, yeah,
I struggle all the time talking about Yang stuff to friends and family, and
yeah,
not even like the political side, just the ideas, and
right,
they don't quite see it the same way for a long time, or they
yeah,
like sort of get it. Yeah.
right. That's something I need to. I think that's probably one of my biggest challenges or areas of weakness or opportunity as a Yang Gang member. How do I effectively recruit new folks uh, without, I guess, overwhelming them with with my passion for Yang Gang? That's something I'm still figuring out how to
Yeah.
fine tune and you know
Oh yeah.
because yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I came let's tell you a story really quick of when I discovered Yang. I started to like transition talking about it more, and then my wife had some of our like friend group, like they have a ladies chat, and they were like, "What's up with Steven talking about politics a ton right now?" And I was like, "Oh, I need to shut my mouth and like introduce it like slower." I'm being obnoxious, I guess.
it's
I don't know.
yeah, it's so tricky. It's tricky because I think like for example, Andrew he proposed to redefine sort of the economy, like with the example of the scorecard replacing GDP.
Yeah.
And I think the implications of that are so deep and profound and revolutionary that it's like I don't know, I would not know how to how to present that in a way that's not like profound and big because it is, and
Yeah.
it's like how do we it's tough. I'm trying to better refine that
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, my biggest thing was like trying to point people to like his explanation of things, like his
Mhm.
stump speeches and stuff, but
Right.
I don't know. I think it all comes with like a little bit at a time, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. And yeah, I think like keeping at it. Like I have faith that so long as I keep at it and I guess remaining involved, staying
yeah.
involved. Like with Yang Gang Fitness right now, being in the loop, being involved. And something, because like I started comedy at the same time, and the biggest thing with a developing comedian is to do as many sets as, it's kind of like fitness, like do as many sets, like get your reps in on stage, do as many sets as possible,
Yeah.
uh, which means hitting as many open mics as possible, finding as many, I don't know, speaking opportunities, like getting
Hmm.
that uh, joke telling, public speaking muscle worked as frequently as possible, and then like letting the art form on some level develop just by doing.
Hmm.
And so I think yeah, I think my involvement with Yang Gang and Humanity First or Humanity Forward sort of resembles that attitude. So yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, because you gotta play off the audience and stuff too, so that probably gives you some ample experience for learning how to, you know,
yeah.
maybe work a crowd or something in the future.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's always a tricky thing because like reading the room is something you kind of have to do in real time as you're telling a joke. And so you've got the feedback of laughter or lack thereof, and you're fine tuning the subsequent joke, or you should be, or I think at least for me.
Hmm.
And reading the room, it's sort of like this phenomenon that comes like secondary to you like actually verbally telling the joke. Um, and I hear like really seasoned comedians like they say that that room reading is occurring sometimes at like this subconscious uh, level, or
Huh.
sometimes that takes the sometimes that like it's sort of the psychological thing where sometimes they dissociate on some level themselves telling the joke, and then they're anticipating their next bit that might involve like a audience participation, and they're able to do that just because they've done so many years worth of stand up that like they're
Yeah,
able to really do things on the fly,
right.
as integrated into their traditional or like a setup like comedy set. So yeah, it's really interesting stuff. Yeah,
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 they've
yeah,
just worked that muscle you talked about over and over again a lot.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's cool. So you said earlier you were part of a couple Yang groups in Maryland.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah. Um, and so it's interesting. My Yang Gang journey, like during the 2020 campaign, it started with Northern Virginia because I think the Virginia Yang Gang mobilized, I think, significantly earlier than say Maryland. And I think that coincided with DC. So like I'm close to
okay.
DC and I'm close to Northern Virginia as well. I think it's because Virginia needed they knew early on, the Yang Gang leaders there, that they needed ballot signatures
Mm,
to ensure that Yang would appear on their ballot, and they were able to pick up on that very early on. And so my first like month or two of Yang Gang involvement was helping Northern Virginia out, and then also I guess just kind of being present and showing up for the DC Yang Gang, and the Baltimore City Yang Gang had a presence as well. Um, Shortly thereafter, I mean, I guess the DC, Maryland, Virginia Yang Gangs, and then the Yang Gang as a whole,
yeah,
started becoming very active, and it just became a question of what niche can I fill, what roles can I take to be as involved as possible.
that's awesome.
And so yeah, like I just stepped up and took the role of the Maryland, the state of Maryland, like one of two Yang Gang regional organizers. And
Nice.
so I would essentially show up to every again, I quit my first job, so I had several months of time off in front of me. So I would show up and coordinate events in the Montgomery County area, Montgomery County, Maryland, Frederick, Maryland, Baltimore City. Um, so the state of Maryland, like we did not need ballot signatures, because I think like the folks in charge, it was like at their discretion as to who gets on the ballot, and I think like their decision making was essentially whoever qualified for the debates and or like had a big name,
Huh.
which Andrew Yang did have. We did get several signatures as a means of like backup in case, uh, you know, just in case.
Yeah.
But I think like the bulk of my and even our of our involvement early on was assisting Northern Virginia or Virginia as a whole. Andrew Yang had a rally in Northern Virginia at was it George Mason University in like October of 2019, and so I was heavily involved in that. And yeah, I mean it was
That's
very
awesome.
fulfilling. Like yeah, it was very it was it was yeah it was awesome. And it really energized me in every way. So
That's
great
awesome.
time. Yeah,
I October is about when I was like when that flip switch where that switch flipped for me and I was like, okay, I'm on board with this
yeah,
guy. He's making sense now and I think I
yeah.
can support him. So he was the first political campaign I ever donated to and
Right.
um if I wasn't having a baby, I was totally willing to drive
Yeah,
places for. But sadly, I stayed in place and I did get to do a couple hangouts in a red state, so that was fun. But
gotcha.
it was like 5 or 6 of us, so that was a good
Okay,
time.
gotcha. Yeah, yeah. No, that's yeah. I hear you. It's cool. Yeah, yeah.
So, and I didn't even get a Twitter until like January, and then it was
Oh,
pretty much over.
yeah. I mean, I had a Twitter. My Twitter account has been around since I think like technically 2013, but I only made one because like one of my college professors like had us retweet one of his articles or something for like extra credit, and it was just like completely quiet since then. Yeah, so my Twitter is literally alive only because of Yang Gang. So
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah,
That's interesting. Uh,
yeah.
Professor making you push
Oh,
their study.
that wasn't the first time. That was,
Huh.
I mean, and that was a thing both in undergrad and pharmacy school. I mean, there
Hmm.
a handful of professors,
Oh wow.
they had us share things, their publications, their articles. And it was always like really technical niche stuff that like laymen would never read.
Oh
Like,
wow.
and we'd get extra credit. So
Worth it? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You said earlier that you do some volunteering for mental health organizations or something. What's that like? What are you doing there?
Yeah, so I I majored in psychology in undergrad,
Oh, cool.
and I was involved in advocacy then. I always knew I had an affinity for mental health, whether it be professional or uh, personal. Um, and like in pharmacy school, like I didn't vibe with the traditional career paths, but we did have like some like specialty interest, like career interest groups in pharmacy school for like psychiatric pharmacy and like mental health medications, behavioral medications. Today I volunteer for a mental health advocacy group that's mainly geared towards South Asian diaspora groups because I as an Indian American we have to like navigate certain cultural barriers and linguistic barriers sort of as our families and parents and folks perceive like mental health and like the professional space, and then kind of the different cultural nuances of conceptualizing mental health, whether it be like a sort of a certain like spiritual take or that sort of thing. So I volunteer part time in that capacity uh, as a research and content lead to kind of screen things for social media posts that serve as outreach to connect people to resources,
Hmm.
especially resources that may be geared towards that kind of like level of diaspora or identity, because I think yeah, like certain family pressures or societal pressures that South Asians face can often be unique and hard to kind of grapple with. So yeah, that's sort of what I'm involved with these days.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good work. I'm
Thank you. Yeah.
very impressed.
Thank you. Yeah.
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 I I always tell myself I'm gonna get more time to volunteer in efforts, but I guess that's kind of what I'm doing with this fitness group, sort of. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, first of all, thank you for really spearheading this and maintaining a community and growing it. I don't know, like in the past year, like with this time off I've taken and my involvement with Yang Gang and comedy and my continuation of mental health advocacy, I've been noticing that my interests, like they seem to only exist as like these sort of like volunteer effort kind of things, and like
Hmm.
I'm struggling a little bit to find like a day job equivalent of my like interests,
Right.
and I wonder if yeah, so I just that's been a bit of a struggle of mine, because like as soon as in the past couple of months, like these three or four things that I've been passionate about, they all kind of exist in the space and time that's outside of the the 9 to 5,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so that's, yeah, that's been
That's
kind of tough, but
kind of the world Yang is wanting to build, right? You just
exactly, yeah, yeah,
you do stuff like that that actually helps people, and
exactly,
you get rewarded for it.
yeah,
But now
precisely, yeah.
it's all volunteer at
Right,
this point.
right,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely, yeah,
Uh-huh. I'm hoping that we can get more towards that kind of world for sure.
same,
Yeah.
same here, yeah.
Cool. Well, we covered a lot. Is there anything else you want to tell Yang Gang Fitness or even just Yang Gang in general directly?
I No, other than thank you, Stephen. Thank
Thanks.
you, Yang Yang Fitness family. Y'all are amazing. And if you haven't joined us, please do join us. I mean, I think this is awesome, and really happy to be here, and really happy to be a part of the community. Yeah.
Awesome. Is there any like way people can find your shows so that we can like can you plug that anywhere or is it
Sure. Yeah.
kind of
So
just random?
well, yeah. So let's see. So my YouTube like URL is youtube.com/Mudit Verma. That's MUDIT VERMA. I'm very active on social media, both for Yang Gang and my comedy pursuits: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn as well. And then so my Twitter handle is uh, the words I like, then the number two, then my name, Mudit. I like to Mudit. So that's sort of that's my Twitter handle. I like to Mudit, where the two is the number, and that's also my Instagram and TikTok handle as well. I should be pretty, I think, easy to find, whether it be like Google searching or LinkedIn, Facebook. And yeah, I'm very happy to connect and share my story and hear other folks out as well on their stories. So yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll definitely be looking for your stuff more for sure.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for the talk. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. I love hearing
Likewise.
everybody's stories.
Definitely. Yeah. All right.
All right, well, have a good night and I'll see you on Twitter.
Yeah. Good night, man. Yeah. I'll see you. Yeah. Peace.
Peace.